Welcome, and in today's video we'll be specifically looking at calculation checkmate in 2. Now this video is for players that are from 0 elo points to 1500, 1800 elo points as the case may be. And we are going to start from the easiest examples then down to the hardest. Yeah guys, it took me a lot of time to put myself together and make this video. Yeah, my mom is not really in a good state, so you can just send out your prayers as a way of encouragement. You can watch the video to the end, like just do something that can serve as a source of encouragement. Yeah. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. From this example going forward, we'll be using the visualization technique. Now this technique is actually very essential because it helps you in calculation in chess even without moving a piece. Now you can visualize that first of all the rook on c8 is hanging. Then you can visualize that when you capture it, you give a check to the king, and the king has no other square to go to. With that being visualized, the only piece that can block the check the rook is giving the king is the queen. So the queen must come down to e8 and you capture. Now you're done visualizing it, you play it out. You capture the rook, the queen must block, you take the queen with your rook. This technique is not actually simple to learn, so you have to take it gradually, make a few errors as usual, but you pick yourself up and keep going. So please like, share and subscribe, just help me out any way you can. In this particular position, the king has an open square, but he is one move away from reaching that open square. And we strike with a queen sacrifice. Yes, we sacrifice our queen, the knight will take, but then we can take back with the rook, and this is definitely checkmate. Let me know if you visualize these two in the comment section. Please like, share and subscribe. This particular puzzle also has to do with the king and the back rank mate. The king has nowhere to go, so you can simply give a check to the king and the rook must block and you capture and his mate. Now I told you that it gets harder as we progress. You can pause the video and try and find out the mate in 2 in this particular puzzle. And also try and visualize it in your head because that is actually the most important part. You can see that you can give a check to the king and the rook will block and you capture the rook. Now this is by no means a free rook because knight on e6 actually defends the rook and this is actually checkmate. White is actually checkmated. The same technique, pause the video and try and find out the best move. It's actually mate in 2 and I'll be really impressed if you can find this mate in 2. So tell me in the comment section if you are able to find this mate in 2. One other move than rook takes h3 with a check to the king. The king cannot go to g1 because the bishop on c5 actually restricts the movement of the king. So the king must capture with the pawn. When he does that, you repeat the cycle, give a check to the king, and this is checkmate. Let me know if you got this in the comment section. This one is sort of tricky, but I believe with the visualization technique you will be able to get this. The king has a square which obviously the rook is blocking for now, but you can just simply give the king a check. The rook must come back and you capture the rook with a checkmate to the king. Notice how the knight on d2 plays a very important role in making the checkmate possible. Here white is actually lost, but thanks to this killer move, queen to h6 check, and this king is actually in soup as the bishop can't actually help him because the queen takes and this is actually checkmate. This particular mate in 2 is actually pretty obvious as the undefended state of black's knight kind of points it out. You can simply capture the knight, and when the queen takes back, you capture the queen, checkmate to the king. White has no sort of defense against this checkmate in 2. Black gives a check, he drops back, and you can simply snap off the rook and checkmate the king. I really love it if you are trying to find the checkmate as well as I am showing it to you. Black is threatening on the next move to play queen to a1, and the king rook cannot actually capture because then it's mate. But white is a little bit ahead and spots the weakness in black's position and captures the rook. Now this is checkmate whether black likes it or not because black defends the bishop and still checkmate. The king cannot actually go to G the king cannot actually go to G7 because the queen restricts the king's movement. This is similar to the meeting two I showed you earlier, but this one is actually with the queen. You can give a check to the king. The queen must definitely capture, and when he does that, he captures the rook. Forgive me because it's actually because of what I mentioned earlier. Yeah, this meeting two is actually pretty obvious because you can go down, give a check to the king, and the rook will block, and this does nothing as it's actually checkmate. Out of Uno reverse because black was actually preparing on giving white mating 2 from this particular position. Now most players will see that their queen is under attack and simply move it away, but not me or not my students, and not you either, because you sacrifice your queen for the rook. The queen will definitely capture, and this is a brutal mate to white. Yeah, black went all attack and forgot that he has a weakness in his position, which white can simply check the king, and the rook must come back, but that does nothing as this is check. This is actually the last puzzle, the last meeting too I will show you today, and it's just simply that white will go down with the queen, give a check to the king, and technically this is a queen sacrifice, and when the bishop takes, you take back with the rook, and this is mate. Yeah, that is all for today. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know how many you got in the comment section and how many you didn't get, and let me know whether this was helpful to you. Yeah, drop a like, drop a share, drop a comment. Yeah, till next time, stay sharp, play smart.